going on, guys? How are ya? Wind just started blowing right when I clicked on. So I hope that you guys are doing well. Hope you're able to get outside because it's absolutely beautiful. Maybe just verging on the too hot scale. Maybe just because we've been so cold for so long. It's about 80. And in the sun, it's a little hot. But right now, in the shade where I am at, it's beautiful. So let's talk about the Salem witch trials. I hope you were able to read the article yesterday. I'm sure you all did. A lot of you with the assignments that don't actually get into Power School, I know so many of you are doing a great job getting those done. So nicely done. I think it will help you in the future if you're reading these articles a couple times. The good news is that this article isn't as difficult as the time travel one. That one was pretty tough. This one is a little bit more straightforward. But what I would like to do is break it down like we did with the time travel. There's the wind again. The time travel article. Wow, really windy. Hope I don't lose my papers. And we'll just break it down section by section. Maybe take 4 or 5 days to read this and we can talk about it. Again, if you would like to do a one-on-one Zoom, a one-on-one Google Hangout, if any of this is difficult to you, let me know. I was reading a couple awesome, I won't say their name, a couple awesome presidential paragraphs. And one person, she, narrow it down 50-50, she wrote about James A. Garfield. James A. Garfield, who was actually assassinated. He's probably one of the presidents a lot of people forget about because, as she said in her paragraph, he wasn't president for all that long, but he was assassinated. It's kind of crazy. But I think the guy's name was Gateau. It's French, I believe. Yeah, murdered. And the crazy thing about James A. Garfield, which she mentioned, was that the bullet didn't actually kill him. He was shot, but it was the doctors, in a way, who killed him because he got an infection. And this was in, she wrote it too, I can't remember, 1880s, I believe. So, of course, they didn't know about bullet wounds, and you got to clean your tools before you stick them in people's bodies. But I guess doctors were using their bare hands, probing into the wound and just infecting the crap out of them, I guess you could say. So, but we're not talking about James A. Garfield, but some nice presidential paragraphs. Nice job. And not just copy and pasted either. That's plagiarism. You shouldn't copy and paste from a website. That'll probably get you kicked out of college. So she wrote a great one. I wish I could say her name, but I won't. All right, so hopefully she's watching now, though, or not now. Did I mention that I couldn't go live? I tried to go live on YouTube, and it wouldn't. I don't know if it was because it's a school computer and they were having trouble, but I could not get onto YouTube. So hopefully you can. So let's talk about this. The glasses on. This is called Revisiting the 1619 incident that led to 20 killed in Salem, Massachusetts. And if you are looking where I'm looking, we got a photo, a pretty graphic photo. Not graphic as in gross, but graphic as in, whoa, what is going on here? You have a woman. She looks like she is in court, and it looks as if she's almost summoning lightning to come into the court, and you have a whole bunch of people that are shocked. And what's up with this guy? Is he dead? He could be dead. So that would definitely be a witch. And I have some hornets. In the back there. So when the sun goes down, I'm going to zap them with some hornet spray. No more hornets, but hopefully they won't bother us here today. All right, so we've read the title. We've looked at the picture. Let's read the introduction. And that's about all I want to do for today. The Salem witch trials occurred in colonial Massachusetts. So this is Massachusetts that was not a state. It was a colony, still part of the British Empire. Between 1692 and 1693, more than 200 people were accused of practicing witchcraft, which was known as the devil's magic. 20 people were executed. Eventually, the colony admitted the trials were a mistake and paid money to the families of those convicted. So that was one thing that I never knew until I read this article. I had known quite a bit about the Salem witch trials, and as we talked about in a previous video, some of you have actually been to Salem. It's not that far, maybe two and a half hour drive. And it's a pretty interesting visit. They have a lot of places you can pay money and go to the Witches Museum and buy souvenirs, mostly to try to get your money. I've heard on Halloween, though, the whole town goes kind of crazy and decorates for Halloween. Since then, the story of the trials has become synonymous with paranoia and injustice. The story continues to attract the popular imagination of more than 300 years later. We've already done this, haven't we? We already talked about Synonymous and Tom Brady and winning. Synonymous. Wow. All right, let's see. How long is this next one? We may just call it a day there. Yeah, let's call it a day there. I don't want to get rid of this because there's a good information at the beginning on James A. Garfield, and I think his name's Charles Gateau. It's French, definitely. Charles Gateau. So we've read the intro twice. And I wonder how many of you were saying, Mr. Watson, we've read this. I hope you have. I hope you've read it for the third time now. Maybe you've read it 3 times. So Synonymous, that would definitely be a review. Anything before reading this? The next one, I don't want to waste your time. So tomorrow, we will get to the part where it says mostly women. And I do want to highlight the fact that, yes, it was women. There was a little sexism involved with the Salem witch trials. And what the article doesn't go into is that a lot of the women actually had inherited property from their husbands who had died. So some part of this is people thinking they were actually witches. And then there might be a small part of this, though, where they talk about how women at this time might not be able to have property. Maybe it was one of those things to try to show women that, you know, it's not right for you to have property. So we will touch on that in future videos. We'll also touch on something I hinted at before, and that is how mass hysteria can affect a population, where a bunch of people start believing what other people think, even though it's irrational. There's no logical explanation for it. And one of the time periods that I will highlight is the 1950s and the Red Scare, it's sometimes called. I know I've mentioned it on a previous video, but I don't believe I've talked about the Red Scare as a bug flies by. So the Red Scare was when people in the United States were worried that communists would take over this country. And so there was a whole campaign to find communists in Hollywood and politics. So, and it's called McCarthyism. So we'll talk about that later. But we are running up on 10 minutes. And sorry to have wasted a couple minutes of your time, but I think the other 8 minutes maybe of the video were beneficial, and maybe reading the intro 3 times, right? Because you read it once on your own, you read it once with me, and then you read it again with me. So I hope everybody is doing well. I will upload this on YouTube, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Get outside. Hopefully you're outside. It is absolutely beautiful out. All right, that's going to do it for today. See you later.